Hey guys, BirdDog John here. I just want to talk about initial setup with your BirdDog keyboard, and I'm going to show you on my screen just some things when you first unbox your keyboard, some stuff that you need to check. We're going to talk about older versions of the keyboard, and then we're also going to talk about new versions and how to get everything up to date, make sure that you're up and running, okay? So first I'm going to switch over to my desktop sharing screen. I'm just going to show you what's going on here. I have my keyboard. It looks a little different. This is actually a pre-production model, so that's why it doesn't have the fancy paint job and whatever, but in general, this is what your keyboard will look like. And when it shows up, you're going to have to supply power to it. And so on the top, there's a power port and there is a power adapter that comes with the keyboard, so you can power it with DC wall. But the beautiful thing about NDI BirdDog products is we want them all to be single cable function. And so if you have a PoE switch, you can plug in a PoE cable that's connected to a PoE switch that will supply 15.4 watts per port, and you've got enough room in your budget, your power budget on the switch for it. You can take a PoE cable, plug it into the IP port, which is actually here. It's the second one from the center or the third one from the side, whichever way you want to go here. Second one from the power port, which is over here. So 1, 2, this is the IP port. This is the RS232 port, and these are RS422 ports. So we want to plug it into the IP port, single cable function, and then I'm going to press the power button and my keyboard is going to turn on. So we're going to let that boot up, and I'm going to show you something here. We know of an issue with older boards where people would have an old baseboard firmware on it, and when they would go to change the IP information from static to DHCP, the board would just go into reboot. So the first thing I want you to do is update the baseboard. And to do that, you go to our website, bird-dog.tv, go to support, firmware updates, and then download the baseboard firmware update, which is 009 for this keyboard. Now, the instructions should be in that download folder, and you just follow that. There's also specific instructions on how to format the USB drive. You're going to need a thumb drive to do this. And so how do you format this USB drive to do that? There are instructions in there. I've also made a video, which I will link on this article so that you can just, you don't have to navigate anywhere. You can just find it right away. But it will tell you how to specifically do this so that you can update the baseboard. So if your board is in automatic reboot, do the baseboard update. 009 is the one that you want. That corrects this issue. And then when you install it, follow those directions. And when you install it, power up the board. And then you want to take a little paper clip and you want to bend it open here so that you can make a little L with it. And at the top of the keyboard, next to the actual power port, there's this little tiny pinhole. This is the factory reset pinhole. So turn on your board, get it to the home screen, put the pin inside. You see what I'm doing here? Put the pin inside this little factory reset hole and hold it down and watch the screen. Factory reset. This is what we want to see right here. Factory reset. Let the board reboot. Now we can go to setup, which is here, and the default password is just 0000. Whoops, I only pressed it 4 times. And then we're going to cycle down to keyboard settings, and we're going to say IP configuration. Now, the default IP configuration for the keyboard is 192.168.0.100, and it's set to static out of the box. We want to change this to DHCP, and we use DHCP in NDI networks on purpose because it leaves the network brains to handle the packets, and it leaves our NDI devices to do the encoding, decoding, sending commands, all of that stuff, okay? So these aren't high-powered network, they don't navigate networks like big, giant infrastructures. Let's let the network handle the network and let the devices handle what they're built to do. So here we're going to highlight static, and we're going to change it to DHCP. And I'm just going to click these buttons, click the UD button, and then click the LR direction knob. And you'll notice that it queried the network and acquired a new address, okay? So now I'm going to take the LR, I'm going to go down to exit. I'm also going to go down to exit here and exit. And it's going to take me out to this. And just because I'm a IT support guy, I'm going to power cycle this unit and make sure that it comes up with that IP information again. But we know what that IP information is. So when this board boots, now I should be able to go to a WebUI and type in the address, which was 192.168 17.26 is what it was. And so I'll bring this over here for you. And we're going to let this board boot. Make sure it comes all the way up. Let's go back to that screen real quick and just show keyboard initializing. All right, so now we're going to boot. It looks like we should be up and running now. Yep. And now we're going to hit enter. Keyboard, PTZ keyboard with Bird Dog. And the password on all of our devices is just Bird Dog by default. You can change that. Not really necessary unless you're looking for like a super secure setup. And then here we want to go to system. Well, first we can check the dashboard and make sure that we're running PTZ keyboard 1.95, which is the latest as of September 2020. But make sure you check the website that you have the latest firmware. That does get updated periodically. So make sure that you have the latest. bird-dog.tv, go to support, firmware updates, and check. So here, if you do need to update, you can click on system, choose file, select the FW file that you downloaded, and then hit update, and it will do the update for you. Okay, so now that should get you into your keyboard, and it should also acquire an IP address. If you need to set a static IP address, you need to include the subnet mask, which should be 255.255.255.0. All right, it shouldn't be 255.255.0.0 because that's 16,000 IP addresses. You need to do a single subnet, which is 256 addresses, and you need to have a default gateway. If you don't have a default gateway, if you're doing some sort of unmanaged network that doesn't have a DHCP and doesn't have any sort of routing data, you need to point the NDI devices at something, and keyboard's no different. I recommend using a Windows PC because Windows actually has a routing table built into it. So if you have a computer that's running on your unmanaged network, use the static IP address of the Windows PC and point your default gateways for your NDI devices at that PC. And then I can at least reference something that is keeping an internal catalog of what's going on the network. Once you have it here, you can add cameras. You can start controlling things. I have another video on how to add cameras over NDI and Visca IP. So be sure that you check that one out. I will link that below as well. And otherwise, enjoy your keyboard. I hope everything's going well. Reach out to us at bird-dog.tv. You can hit us up at our support email at help@bird-dog.tv as well. We'd be happy to give you a hand there. Hope this is helpful. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.